forensic audit started? You didn't really give me an answer as to yes or no. I know you said you have someone in there under 17.5, but I need to find out if you have someone in there under 17.5 and you're asking for $60,000 for this forensic audit, how are you going to pay them when the council have already agreed not to support this forensic audit?
This $60,000 resolution before you now would be budgeted in the 2015 budget, if so deemed to be approved by council.
Well, I'm talking about the 17, that if it costs 60 and you're already saying, just answer the first part of the question. Is there a forensic audit that has started in the city of Plainfield?
There is an audit going on. I would not call it a forensic audit because the forensic audit that was proposed to you, to the council before, had 4 pieces to it. This is a limited view of some of the operations and processes in the city to see if there's a basis for moving forward.
So is there because we do get an audit from our auditor, supplement including at the end of the year, so this is an additional audit.
It's a different type of audit.
What type of audit is this?
They are looking at processes and procedures in different operations throughout the city. They are looking at things like fraud and abuse, wasteful practices. That's what they're looking at now.
And how far are they going back?
2010 through 2015. If you wanted to go further back, that's more money. The specs did not request that. If you wanted to go back 20 years, that would be a fairly detailed audit that involves going back into the vaults and everything else, and that would cost a substantial amount more money to do. What we presented to you is a reasonable audit based on all the input from the various qualification submissions that we received for what would give us a good feel on whether or not there was any waste, fraud, and abuse, currently or in the past. Because if you remember, this audit request that was submitted before took a look at 2014 as well. It was looking at practices, procedures going back in time, as well as through all of 2014.
So is there?
We have consensus to move this to the agenda.
Yes.
I have a question for the mayor, or whoever he deems necessary to reply. Since we're already spending limited funds on a limited scope audit, are you willing to reconsider the dollar amount in this particular resolution?
By that, what do you mean? When you say reconsider?
So instead of 60,000, 45,000, 50,000?
I will certainly reconsider, or I will consider any compromise that would get us to where we need to be. And if the governing body is willing to work with the administration on having the audit that we have talked about done, I certainly will be more than willing to look at different numbers. So what are you proposing, Councilor?
I'm proposing that we change the limit from 60,000 to 45,000.
The administration agrees. If your colleagues will go along.
I propose that to my colleagues.
No. Okay, that sounds very good to me.
But, excuse me, what is this going to prove to spend this kind of money to go back 14 years? We can go back 20 years and probably dig up a whole lot of fraud, mismanagement of money. But how is that going to help us now, Mayor, to move forward? You always indicate, let's move Plainfield forward. I, as a taxpayer, not only as a council person, do I see it necessary, and what is it going to prove, even if you do find some fraud or operation process and procedures, how is that going to help us to move forward?
That's a good question. And a very important one. If there are individuals that are still within the employ of the city who are practicing or who are involved in behavior or acts that are not in the best interest of the city, or you and I as taxpayers, then we need to identify who those individuals are, and they need to be weeded out. So that's one of the ways, or one of the benefits of going through this process. This is not a witch hunt. This is about finding facts in terms of the financial credibility and integrity of the books and records of the city of Plainfield. So it would help us in a big way moving forward. Because if there are people who are responsible for funds that ought to be going into the coffers of the city of Plainfield to provide relief to taxpayers, and those funds are not going where they ought to be going, we need to know that.
But are you talking about in the past or the present?
Right, thank you.
Those individuals could very well still be here, and we need to find out who they are.
Here doing what, Mayor?
Working for the city of Plainfield.
And if they're not?
Do they get, I'm sorry, can I ask, do they, these employees that you're talking about that may not be doing their job, do they get, employee evaluation? Do they get evaluated to know? We would know that, we wouldn't have to have an audit to know whether or not they're doing their job. When I worked as a social worker, as a teacher, I got evaluated.
I think you're missing the point.
Thank you.
The forensic audit, and I will use that term, I'm very comfortable using that term, is not about determining how well you do your job.
I'm
how
just
well
based
I
on
do
what
my
you just
job.
said. You said, basically, you want to see whether these
I
employees
am
are doing their
saying,
job.
what I have said is that if there are individuals that are currently working for the city who are preventing all of the funds that should be going into the city's coffers from going into the city's coffers, if those funds are being diverted illegally, improperly, we need to know who those individuals are, and we need to take action. It doesn't mean that a person who is sitting at his or her job doing an excellent job as far as the operational processes are concerned is not causing other problems for you and me as taxpayers. So the goal is to be able to identify fraud, waste, and abuse, regardless of who is engaged in that kind of behavior. That's what a forensic audit does.
I'd like to make a comment. A couple of years ago, back in, I guess it was 2012, I uncovered fraud and mismanagement and waste and theft in recreation when it was discovered that for the July 4th concert running out of recreation, there was a fake marketing company that had created its own letterhead and was trying to con local businesses into paying inordinate amounts of money for booth spaces and for tables. And when this was uncovered, you know, some things were done, but everyone was not fired. And I think that what I uncovered in that instance, there are a number of other things. That was just one little instance where we saw this fraud and corruption going on. And I think that with all the other mismanagement that we already know about, you know, just refusing to even consider, you know, doing a really kind of deep tissue audit, I think that actually serves in a perverse way as an indictment of anyone who would not want such an audit to go through. We know that money was wasted, money was misspent. We know that thousands and thousands of dollars were spent on things that were not legal in terms of how municipal funds, according to the statutes, should be spent. So I think that in terms of ensuring that as we move forward, we uncover any more of this and that we make sure that the processes are in place, I think that it behooves us as ethical and honest and responsible people who want to hold who need to be held accountable to the residents, I think it behooves us to spend this money to ensure that more money is saved. Thank you.
It's very interesting that you, Councilwoman, was so involved in something that you uncovered.
And I did, yes.
With the prior administration,
Yes.
which we do know you do not like, and you are very, very close to the present administration.
Council President, this is how you
Excuse me, order, someone has,
Point of order.
I have the
someone
mic.
has the floor.
Thank you.
Councilwoman,
When I call point of order, everything must stop according to.
Councilwoman Williams, Councilwoman Taylor had the floor.
Thank you.
I
You
called for
made your
point of
comments,
order.
it's unfair. You made your comments, so allow her to make her comments.
According to
She did not
Robert's
call
rules.
point of order when you were speaking, and I'm, as council president, allowing her to speak.
Council President, she's making an ad hominem attack on
Excuse
me
me, Madam
personally.
President, can I finish?
Councilwoman Williams, I'm gonna ask you one more time to allow this councilwoman to speak.
As I was saying, where there was, it again speaks to what I said openly the last time we voted this down. That there speaks, if you're really concerned about doing things and finding out information and making sure that we're not spending or doing things illegal, then we need to proceed from now. It is ridiculous to do this again and waste taxpayers' money. I think that there is a hidden agenda. And I stated this before. Many of us have been administrators. I was one for over 20 years. If something was done in the past and that person and the councilwoman or anyone else uncovered it, they should have been dealt with then. Now for us to go back, and I really question these motives. And to put this agenda, put this burden on the taxpayers is ridiculous. There are enough procedures, policies administratively, with an audit that we already use, as well as the administrative processes that administrators use, that we can move forward. And I really think it's rather ugly to continue to try to keep doing this. We've already voted this down. Going back over it again, if it's something that is not politically motivated or mean-spirited, that it appears to be to me, then, this will be found out anyway, with the proper policies, with the proper processes that we already have administratively, okay? So, I'm not voting for this. Again, the council voted it down. So you keep doing things as if we are ignorant and stupid and bringing it back again. We've already said no. It's the advice and consent of the council. Administration, there's much more that you can do. We want to move forward. Let's stop this and let's move forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Council President? Yes. May I ask the council? I really resent the ad hominem personal attack that was made on me. We are not supposed to carry on in this way. And if people think that it's fine for a counselor to personally attack another counselor, maybe they should also read Robert's Rules of Order. I'm talking about processes. And for you to attack me is just really unconscionable. Thank you.
I have a question, to Councilwoman Williams. You said
Yes.
that based on your investigation, that there was fraud and there was some misappropriation of funds that
Yes.
dealt with the Recreation Department. Was anyone ever prosecuted based on your information that you just gave?
Well, what I can say publicly, because of course some of this is, executive session stuff, dealing with personnel. What I can say is that when Director Jackson, who was Director of Public Works, found out about it, he was able to circumvent some of this. The previous corporation counsel can talk about the charges, resignations, and all that other stuff, but we really can't talk about personnel issues here in public, but it is available for the record.
Thank you.
Council President, should we take a vote?
I don't think it has consensus, but you can do a roll call.
Roll call on E as to whether or not this has consensus to move forward on the regular meeting agenda. Council members agrees?
No.
Storch?
Yes.
Taylor?
No.
Oliver?
No.
Williams?
Yes.
Chairwoman Brown?
No.
Council President Rose?
No.
This item does not have consensus.
Okay, moving right along.
So just one final comment. I'm glad the administration is doing some limited auditing here. And if the administration uncovers problems, I hope you bring it back for further discussion. I think that's the simple resolution to this long discussion.
Council President, in response to that, we already have, and we will be taking it to the appropriate authorities, not to the governing body.
I hope you bring it to us also.
Thank you.